Well, that's an interesting development, which we'll talk about at the end. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. See if I can get everything set up over here. I've been thoroughly entertained by the memes depicting the American Revolution today. And that Iran would shortly possess a nuclear weapon. I think those are absolutely hilarious. I guess we're on this camera. We'll start shortly. It says Sunday, December 8th, 1776, Washington crossed the Delaware upon reports that Iran would shortly possess a nuclear weapon. And it's got a depiction of Paul Revere. It says Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon. I mean, absolutely hilarious stuff. It seems like they've been days away my entire life. Well, I guess they have been, according to lots of people. But we'll jump right into it today. I thought it was going to be shorter, and then more and more stuff has come across my desk in recent minutes. I guess it is that time of the day where you dump everything you don't want to deal with until tomorrow. Yeah, we'll just hop right into it. I've got my post out. Let's see. Is this one? This looks like it's live. Okay, cool. Today is Thursday, February 26, 2026. This is episode number 63 of Addressing the Issues. What I thought was going to be our main story today was Hillary Clinton testified in front of the House Oversight Committee. Bill Clinton is expected to testify tomorrow. Hillary released her opening statement. She posted it on X to the Oversight Committee, major part of which focused on President Trump as opposed to her involvement. She has reportedly denied ever meeting Epstein or having knowledge of his actions. We haven't seen the video like Les Wexner's deposition. Likely both have perjured themselves. Likely nothing will ever be done for doing so. But that is the status. I haven't seen any videos come out from the inside. I've seen one picture. She doesn't look like she's having a good time, but, it's just one picture. Maybe they caught her at an off moment. I would argue that every time she's photographed, she's caught on an off moment, but, that's just me. Bill Clinton will be testifying tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if we'll get Hillary's until after Bill testifies. It's not like they won't go back to their hotel room and share with each other what information they've divulged, but I guess we'll be kept guessing. Maybe it'll be turned over as a CNN exclusive later tonight. But that's the status that at least I'm aware of the Hillary Clinton testimony to the House Oversight Committee. All I know is that she did it today. Bill Clinton will be doing it tomorrow. In another story, 10 FBI staffers were fired yesterday. They were related to Jack Smith's Mar-a-Lago documents investigation. Well, we've fired the lowest members of the deep state. Can we finally arrest their bosses? Please. They all worked under Jack Smith, in which he allowed the operation to go into Mar-a-Lago to get these documents under flimsy evidence. And I think the main question everybody's asking is, why isn't he in cuffs already? I thought we were going to arrest the deep state. I thought we were going to do that like a year ago. But we've seen no arrests as of yet. You know, no matter how many traitors, people that, you know, even go back to the planning of 9/11, people that gave Saudi passports to the hijackers at an American embassy, the station chief in Saudi Arabia, the guy that was later promoted to the director of the CIA during Obama's second term, the guy who conspired with Obama with the Russiagate hoax in a fabricated intelligence community assessment. If you don't know who I'm talking about yet, it would be John Brennan. But we've seen nothing of the sorts. You know, not to mention allegations recently from Kristi Noem that Elon Musk and his team, this is a direct quote, Elon Musk and his team were extremely helpful to me. They helped me identify that some of my own employees in my department had downloaded software on my phone and my laptop to spy on me, to record our meetings, and that they had done that to several of the politicals. So the deep state, you know, seems to be alive and well. And we're into the second year now of the Trump administration. You know, I thought I was promised deep state arrests, but, you know, we just have 10 people fired that work under someone easily identifiable in this. But we've seen no arrests. We were promised arrests. We didn't get arrests. Promises made, you know, sometimes they're kept, I guess. Speaking of 9/11, there's an Epstein Files email that surely hasn't been covered by the mainstream media. Probably because it seems that they've been running cover since the day after 9/11, refusing to cover reports of explosions at Ground Zero, art students, the E-team being illuminated in the windows where the planes would later hit, urban moving, people dancing while recording videos of the attacks just across the Hudson River in Union City, New Jersey. You know, they never really covered why Building 7 fell like an implosion due to a fire. I've seen a building get imploded. It looked just like the way Building 7 fell. It looked like a controlled demolition. You know, however, this email, it's an email chain between Ed Epstein, no relation to Jeffrey, and G-Max, if you can guess who G-Max, who would be related to Epstein is. Well, Ed Epstein emails G-Max. If you haven't guessed, it's Ghislaine Maxwell. It says, any interest in being on the Shadow Commission on 9/11? The membership list is secret. Then it gives her a link to his webpage, I'm assuming. G-Max responds to Ed Epstein, thanks for the invite. Unfortunately, I cannot be on the Shadow Commission. Why is there a Shadow Commission for 9/11? Why would you need that? We had a 9/11 commission, and it gave us, you know, I guess what the Shadow Commission would have given us if it was necessary. It seems like an attempt at a cover story before a cover story was ever needed. It's just strange to me. It's strange to me that this would be something that people thought needed to be done. I don't know why you'd need a shadow commission unless you think that the regular commission isn't going to give you the answers that you want. They're not going to give you the results you want. Then you make a shadow commission on, the greatest, if not the greatest loss of life, American lives on American soil, at least in a terrorist attack. but we needed a shadow commission, and G. Max, Ghislaine Maxwell, was invited to be on it. I guess it's smart that she would distance herself from, something as shady as a shadow commission, given her already shady practices. Probably wouldn't want to put her name out there any more than it already was. Especially knowing what we do now. Hindsight is obviously going to be 20/20. But I think that whole shadow commission thing is, some of the most damning evidence released in these whole files. What do you need to run cover on 9/11 for if there wasn't something insidious going on? But in other Epstein file related news, the president and CEO of the World Economic Forum, Borge Brind, resigned. I believe this was today due to his ties to the Epstein files. I think we've talked a little bit about the World Economic Forum in previous shows. They're not good people. They just seem to want control. And it's kind of strange that they'd be, tied into this. I guess, you want to control the people who control the people. It's like a big, string puppet game. That's what it seems like now. You have people directing the people that direct you. It's kind of it's like a puppet master's puppet master. He resigned today because he was being puppet mastered by probably Epstein, given that he probably had dirt on him, probably had the ability to link him to crimes done on the island, had power over him. There's another Epstein revelation today, not just these. I mean, some of these were released days ago. I'd meant to have been talking about the Shadow Commission for a while. I just never got around to it. But it's rather pertinent. I don't know that I forgive myself for not talking about it sooner, because it is one of the most major stories, linkings of the Epstein files to intelligence. But there's also that it was reported last night that Jeffrey Epstein's IT manager, Jermaine Ruan, the guy who allegedly installed most of the recording devices on Little St. James Island, now works as the Management Information Systems Administrator for the U.S. government at the U.S. Virgin Islands Division of Personnel. That's a little interesting. I guess he racked up a lot of experience with information systems, working under Epstein, setting up his cloud server for the cameras on the island. Now, I guess you would get a little bit of experience in information systems. Throw that on your resume. I worked for JEE Vacations. Got a whole bunch of information on a whole bunch of powerful people. But he still works for the U.S. government. As of today, I think that should probably be changed in the coming hours. Should be. Will it be? Probably not. But it should be. You probably shouldn't be employing Epstein's associates in the U.S. government. But I guess, we have no problem with that. I'll stop there. These are the newest, revelations of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. There's been 2 arrests in the United Kingdom. The president and CEO of the World Economic Forum has resigned. I believe somebody in Norway, if I'm not mistaken, has resigned from his position of power. And now we're employing Epstein's ex-employees to maybe ex-contractors, maybe not an employee, probably an ex-contractor, to the U.S. government, meaning the taxpayers pay this man based on his experience doing unsavory acts, to say the least, evil acts. This is just the newest in the Epstein saga. I'll save what I was about to say for tomorrow once I can do a little more research on it. But I'll give you a little teaser, I guess. The Bohemian Grove 2023 attendance list was leaked, I believe, 2 days ago. I found it last night. I've already been able to cross-reference one person from the Epstein files to the Bohemian Grove attendance list. So I guess, these people of power travel around in flocks doing their questionable, likely evil activities. But I'm going to keep looking into that over tonight, the next couple of days, and see if I can't find any more connections. I'm not going to spill what I can't find yet, but I found one person already, and I only looked through about 10 people. So there's that. In another major story today, Iran and the U.S. held a third round of nuclear talks in Geneva today. The indirect negotiations lasted around 3 hours. The mediator in Geneva reported that there was progress, however, no agreements were reached on enrichment and missile programs. U.S. officials such as Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio have accused Iran of restarting nuclear enrichment and missile production at underground facilities such as Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordow. However, they have demonstrated no significant evidence to support these claims that this has been restarted. I guess they also don't have any evidence that it ever stopped, is why we're still there, on the verge of this conflict. Iran has claimed that its program is not military and for peaceful means, also rejecting zero enrichment demands. So they want to continue enriching nuclear fuels, uranium, I guess possibly for an energy sector. I don't know why they wouldn't just use oil, given the natural resources they have. But maybe they just want to hit net zero by 2030 like everybody else. Iran for net zero 2030. I doubt that. I doubt it. They do want to enrich these in the nuclear weapons to rival other nuclear weapons in the region. But a senior Iranian official claimed that their proposal focused on lifting U.S. sanctions and rejecting dismantling its nuclear facilities during indirect talks today, according to Al Jazeera. Whether you can trust Al Jazeera or not on this matter is a different story. But I do believe that, they're not going to want to stop nuclear enrichment, given adversaries in the region do have nuclear weapons. They might not admit to it, but there are plenty of nuclear weapons in the Middle East and Near East regions. We'll get to the Near East at the end today. That's something that just came up, I saw, in recent hours, minutes. But talks are expected to continue next week. So maybe there is still hope that we will reach a diplomatic solution, a diplomatic agreement. I think all this, to me is starting to look like fake diplomacy. I was really hopeful after the State of the Union. I was really hopeful. And then more and more, there's so much counter evidence that diplomacy is the main goal here. And the red lines are so far apart, being the U.S. wants zero enrichment. Israel wants zero enrichment. Iran wants enrichment. U.S. and Israel both say no to missile programs. Iran says we want to keep our missile program. And then all of this along with lifting sanctions. Israel doesn't want the U.S. to lift sanctions. I believe the U.S. is okay with it, lifting sanctions, as long as the other goals are met. But Israel is afraid that they will continue to fund proxies in the region. And this along with the fact that Israel has already claimed that it would be attacking Iran, with or without the U.S., which will by default drag the U.S. into a war due to Iran's valid response against both Israel but also Americans in the region, American bases, American ships. And I don't think, Israel's lying about this. When they promise that they're going to do military action, it almost always seems to come true. They're not great bluffers. I'm just going to throw that out there in the military sense. Whether, Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon, they're a little bit better bluffers at. But when they say they're going to do war, they pretty often stick to their word on that. And if they do that, they do a preeminent strike on Iran, we're going to see a response on Americans, because I don't think Iran's bluffing that they're going to strike U.S. bases either. They've done it before. At least last time, they gave us forewarning to get out. We were able to evacuate everything, but I believe it was essential personnel, as it's called. But beyond that, everybody was evacuated. The missiles came down. I believe one landed near the base. The rest were shot down. Something like that. It wasn't a surprise. They gave us forewarning, and it wasn't, deadly. So I think that a lot will change the next time, as they've promised it would. But we'll move on from that, I guess, for the time being. Maybe we'll look back into that at the very end today, just given recent news that's come out. But if you're wondering, in another story, if you're wondering why we can't pass the SAVE Act, why the Senate won't move to do so, it's because the Senate has reportedly wanted to have a 3-hour-long dog parade yesterday. You're hearing me right. A dog parade where they drug their dogs around in wagons and strollers instead of getting anything else done. A dog parade. How ridiculous is this? They claim they don't have time. They're not willing to sit through another talking filibuster, but they have time for a dog parade. Everybody gets, a 25-hour-long speech from Cory Booker is rough. But it's saving our country that we're talking about right now. I'm talking about saving our country. You can sit through a 3-hour dog parade, but you can't, just soak it up for 25 hours. 25 hours of Cory Booker rambling again, and then just vote it through and get it over with. I don't understand where their I do understand where their priorities are. It's getting nothing done and running on these issues next election, which, polling shows they're going to get swept. Maybe not the Senate. The House is going to be flipped. But there's also rumors that even Texas could turn blue in the Senate, which would be, in the modern day, crazy. We'll put it as crazy. It would be a groundbreaking win for Democrats, and it's because, Republicans don't get anything done. They have the majority right now. It's a unified government, and we're having 3-hour-long dog parades instead of, just listening to the talking filibuster and passing the agenda. The priorities are all in the wrong places, and I'm almost certain turnout is going to be terrible going into November this year. People are sick of it. People are sick of it. And it seems, not be getting any better. We've got dog parades instead of the SAVE Act. We'll probably vote for Iran war powers before we get the SAVE Act. And at that point, just consider it a lost cause. Just consider having a cooperative government a thing of the past. It'll be all over at that point. But we'll move on. We can't pass the SAVE Act because we've got dog parades to do. So we're going to talk about some updates on stories that I said I'd update you on. The main one, I guess the first one, being the Florida registered boat yesterday that was shot in Cuban waters was from Big Pine Key in the Florida Keys. The man presumed of stealing this boat reportedly has family in Cuba, to include 2 young daughters who were still in Cuba at the time. I guess it's likely that he was trying to rescue them on a stolen boat, and I guess got into a gunslinger battle with Cuban border patrol, border police. About the most Florida story I've ever heard in recent times. You can talk about alligator wrestling, stealing a boat, and getting into a gunfight with another country is a whole new level of Florida man. Absolutely absurd levels of Florida man energy going on here. It's been reported that at least one of the dead was a U.S. citizen. Another U.S. citizen was injured and is receiving hospital care in Cuba. And another one of the involved in the, breach of Cuban territory had a K-1 visa to the U.S. So that is the most recent updates we have. Allegedly, the man that sparked this whole Florida man journey, Florida man extravaganza, had daughters that were still in Cuba, meaning he was likely a refugee of some sorts. Whether he was a U.S. citizen or not, I guess is yet to be confirmed. But absolutely crazy stories come out of Florida. We're not going to beat the allegations when we're doing things like this, guys. We'll move on to a different update. NASA identified Mike Fincke as the astronaut who experienced a medical emergency on board the International Space Station in January. This caused the early return of Crew 11 and the early expedition of Crew 12. NASA claims that he was stabilized by his crew with the guidance of NASA flight surgeons. So next time when someone says this isn't rocket science, just know you've got to factor in emergency medical care may or may not be a part of rocket science. Crazy stuff. I'm glad that he's recovering here back on Earth. Like I said at the time, I think the International Space Station might be the worst place to suffer a medical emergency, but thank goodness the crew was able to perform medical care on this man, get him back home safe, and he's now reportedly recovering. It's not said what the medical issue was. I guess this is probably due to medical rights. They can't disclose it without his permission, but he did allow that his name be released as the person that the medical episode happened to. So we're all glad you're back on Earth, safe, Mike, and receiving the care that you need, because that is a terrible thing to happen. And I guess we're all glad that rocket scientists also know emergency medicine. I never knew that factored into it. I guess we'll talk about what I've been alluding to as something breaking now. There are reportedly massive clashes ongoing between Afghanistan and Pakistan, possibly a full-blown war. It's been reported now that the Pakistani Air Force has carried out a number of strikes against the Taliban in Iran, including the capital of Kabul and other areas across Afghanistan. I guess this was after the Taliban invaded Afghanistan tonight there. Like I said, this is developing absolutely not good. I guess everybody knows Pakistan is a nuclear-armed nation. Let's see if I can find anything else. And they don't seem to be too hesitant to use these things. Every person who's ever done wargaming claims that the most likely start of World War III would be between Pakistan and India using nuclear bombs on each other. So this could get turned bad really quickly, especially the possibility of, other nations in the region, namely Iran, capitalizing on all this chaos for their own good. But that's just happened in recent hours that this is broken out. Scary stuff for sure, especially given all the tensions in the region. Hopefully, the U.S. isn't dragged into it because of this. But we also could see blocs forming in the near days, alliances. I saw something, I believe, along the lines of 15 people were either captured or killed. Don't take that as a fact as of right now. But apparently the state of Pakistan and Taliban-controlled Afghanistan is currently war, which could easily spill into neighboring countries, India, namely, and that would be, likely World War III. Let's see. That's all I can find on that right now. Like I said, this is just happened, just started. Let's see if I can. Afghan Taliban announced the launch of a large-scale attack against Pakistan. That's what we have right now. I guess likely we'll be covering this tomorrow, just due to the high danger that this could cause a spillover in the neighboring countries. Wonder, maps. I can't recall if Iran and Afghanistan share a border. I believe they do. Which could be Afghanistan and all three of them share a border with Iran. Beautiful, beautiful, just beautiful. All right, well, we'll address this tomorrow as more news comes out from across the world. I don't have any answers for anybody right now. I don't have much information myself. I'm sure, as time goes on and translations are made, we'll get access to this information in the U.S. But this is, breaking right now that Afghanistan and Pakistan are in armed conflict. Kinetic war. Awesome. Not awesome. It's not awesome, but that's what's going on right now. I guess I'll take the moment to ask that you guys go ahead and drop a like on whatever platform you're viewing on, whether it be YouTube, Rumble, Kick. If you want to do it on multiple, it's @official Sam Jones on all three. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube, following on Kick, following on Rumble. If you'd like to subscribe on Rumble, I'd truly appreciate it. But I do also just appreciate everybody's viewership, helping me attack the algorithm, try and get ahead of it. But yeah, make sure you're, and also, you might want to follow on multiple platforms. Given Rumble was down yesterday, I don't know if anybody got the notification when we went live. I know nobody was able to view the beginning of the show on Rumble Live, at least. Maybe it uploaded at a later state or later time. I'm not even sure about that, though. Yeah, that's all we have for today. I'm not seeing many chats. I'll check the comments because sometimes things get put in the comments instead of the live chat. I'm not seeing anything in the comments of anything. So we'll wrap it up here. Just make sure you guys are dropping a like. And I guess I'd recommend following on multiple platforms. Make sure you're kept up to speed with what's going on. Everything just keeps getting faster and faster, it seems, these days. Yeah, no chats here either. Okay. Well, I guess I'll keep you guys updated on whatever happens in the Near East tomorrow. I guess we'll also be talking about whatever's going on with the people mentioned in both the Epstein files and the Bohemian Grove list that was just released. I guess that's probably less pertinent than if we're going to go to World War III. But I'll keep looking into that as well. I'll keep looking into the Afghanistan-Pakistan issue currently unfolding. We'll sign off here and I guess get the work for tomorrow. I hope you all enjoyed. To all my people on the East Coast, I hope you get home safe. To my people further west, I hope you finish up your workday strong and get home safe as well. I'll be back live tomorrow at 4:45 with, I guess, with whatever updates we have on this stuff and whatever happens tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you again very soon.